Greetings to you all. Welcome to Class 7, Term 3rd, Unit 3, Play, Jane Eyre. Today we are going to do guided reading. So I'll just read it, listen carefully, book back exercise, explanation videos, in other things you can watch later. Play. At Gateshead, Jane Eyre is 10 years old. Both her parents are dead. She lives with her aunt, Mrs. Reed, and 3 cousins, Eliza, John, and Georgiana. Bessie is the servant maid. Bessie. Miss Jane, keep out of mischiefs today. Mrs. Reed is in a frightful mood at breakfast this morning. Jane. Oh, she never takes notice of me anymore. I think she hides in the sitting room if she hears me coming down the stairs. Bessie. I'm speaking of Miss Georgiana and Eliza. No quarrelling with those two, or you will have the whole house in uproar. Jane. Oh, it's not me who starts it. I will hide myself in the library with Uncle Reed's book. Jane sits on the floor and looks through a picture book. John, Georgiana, and Eliza come. John. Here she is. Jane. What do you want? John. How dare to ask me? What do you want? Come here when I call you. Eliza. What are you reading now? Jane. Bewick's History of British Birds. John. Show me. Eliza. It's none of father's books, you know. Not one of those books belongs to you. John. Bring it to me here. Jane rises and cautiously goes to John. John. You have no business to take our books. You are a dependent. You have no money. Your father left you none. You ought to beg, not to live here with gentlemen's children like us. Go, stand by the door there, out of the way of the mirror and the windows. Jane moves a few steps away. John throws the book at her. John runs towards Jane and grasps her hair and shoulder. He hits her with something. 1 or 2 drops of blood from her head trickle down her neck. Eliza screams. Bessie and Mrs. Reed come. Bessie. Dear, dear, what fury to fly at master. John, like this? Mrs. Reed. Frightful child. Take her away in the red room and lock her in there. Bessie. But Mrs. Reed? Mrs. Reed. The red room? Do as I say. Bessie. Didn't I say? Jane. He threw the book at me. Bessie. Come quickly. What shocking behavior for a young girl. Bessie brings Jane to the red room and leaves her there. Jane collapses to the floor and cries. She hears some noise and screams. Jane. Bessie, let me out. Please let me out. Help me. Bessie. Mrs. Reed and Bessie appear out in the hall. Mrs. Reed. What is the horrible child up to now? Bessie. Miss Jane, are you all right? Jane. Let me out, please, Bessie. Bessie. Are you hurt? What's the matter? Jane. I heard something. Please unlock the door. Mrs. Reed. Stop this screaming. I will not be taken in by your tricks. Jane. I shall let you out in the morning. Jane is left in the room. When she wakes up, Bessie is sitting next to her. Jane is confused. Jane. Where? Bessie? Bessie. It's busy, Jane. You have been asleep ever so long. It's nearly dinner time. Jane. Am I ill? I feel so ill. Busy. Doctor has been and gone. He says it's fever. Jane. Am I going to die? Busy. No, child. You will be all right within a week. You fell sick in the red room with crying, I suppose. Jane. It was not crying, Busy. I heard some noise. I saw something. Busy. Don't upset yourself again. Now you need to rest. Jane. It was Uncle Reed. Busy. Shh. No more talking. Close your eyes. I will stay with you. Jane. I shall never forget it. Jane falls asleep. Busy. Poor child. I do believe it. After this incident, Mrs. Reed writes a letter to Mr. Brocklehurst, who is running a school. Lowood. He visits Gateshead. Jane is sent to Lowood with him. At Lowood, the driver wakes up Jane. She is left off at the gates of Lowood. She meets Miss Miller and Miss Temple. Miss Miller. Jane Eyre? Jane. Yes, madam. Miss Miller. This way. They cross the stage where Miss Temple is waiting. Jane enters a dark stone building. All are quiet. She neither sees or hears any other student. Miss Temple. This child is very young to be sent alone. She had better to be put to bed soon. She looks tired. Are you tired? Jane. A little, madam. Miss Temple. And hungry too, no doubt. Let her have some supper before she goes to bed. Miss Miller to Jane. Is this the first time you have left your parents to come to school, my little girl? Jane. My parents are dead. Miss Temple. Oh, I see. Can you read and write? Jane. Yes, madam. Miss Temple. And sew? Do you sew? Jane. A little. Miss Temple touches her cheeks gently. I hope you shall be a good girl. Jane Eyre? Jane. Yes, madam. Miss Miller and Jane exit. The next day, Miss Miller and Jane enter a wide, long room. There are many girls of age 10 to 20. All are uniformly dressed. The room is noisy. Miss Miller. Silence. The girls quieten immediately. Go to the wash. When the girls get there, they hesitate. What's the matter? Time to wash? Girl. Miss Miller. Miss Miller? What is it? Girl. The water is frozen again. Miss Miller. Very well. Monitors, remove the basins. Miss Temple enters. Miss Miller. The new girl. Where shall I put her, Miss Temple? Miss Temple. Perhaps the fourth form. Miss Miller. But she is so little. Miss Temple. She can read and write. I think she will do well there. Miss Miller. Yes, Miss Temple. Jane is put in form 4. After lunch, Miss Miller asked the girl to go to the garden. Miss Miller and Miss Temple exit and Helen enters, sits and reads a book. Jane. Is your book interesting? Helen. I like it. Hands it to her. You may look at it. Jane. Jane looks at the book. I think it is too difficult for me. Returns it. Helen. You read one of your age. Jane. My name is Jane Eyre. What is your name? Helen. Helen Burns. Jane. Can you tell me what the writing on the stone over the door means? What is Lowood Institution? Helen. This house where you have come to live. Jane. And why do they call it institution? Is it anyway different from other schools? Helen. It is partly a charity school. You and I and all the rest of us are charity children. I suppose you are an orphan. Aren't either your father or your mother dead? Jane. Both died before I can remember. Helen. Well, all the girls here have lost either one or both parents. This is called an institution for educating orphans. Jane. Are you happy here? You ask rather too many questions. I have given you answers enough for the present. Now I want to read. Jane leaves Helen. Spring has started. Semi-starvation and neglected colds have predisposed most of the students to receive infection. 45 out of 80 girls lay ill at one time. Helen is also ill. Jane goes to meet Helen in Miss Temple's room. Jane. Helen, are you awake? Helen. Face is pale but composed. Why have you come here, Jane? It is past 11 o'clock. Jane. I have come to see you, Helen. I have heard you are ill and I cannot sleep until I speak to you. Helen. You have come to bid me goodbye? You are just in time, probably. Jane. Are you going home? Helen. Yes, to my long home, last home. Jane. No, no, Helen. But where are you going, Helen? Do you know? Helen. I believe, I have faith. I am going to God. How comfortable I am. The cough has tired me. I feel as if I could sleep. Jane. Good night, Helen. Helen. Good night, Jane. Helen dies that night. The school improves. Jane spends 8 years in the school, 6 years as pupil and 2 years as teacher. Jane wants liberty and becomes half desperate. 6 advertise in the Herald for situations. A week later, she has received a letter from Mrs. Fairfax, Thornfield. Jane leaves Lowood and goes to Thornfield. At Thornfield. Mrs. Fairfax. How do you do, my dear? I am afraid you have had a tedious ride. You must be cold. Come to the fire. Do sit down. Jane. Thank you, madam. Don't trouble yourself much. Mrs. Fairfax. Oh, it's no trouble. You have brought your luggage with you, haven't you, my dear? Jane. Yes, madam. Shall I have the pleasure of seeing Miss Fairfax tonight? Mrs. Fairfax. Miss Fairfax? Oh, you mean Miss Adela is the name of your future pupil. Jane. Indeed. Then she is not your daughter? Mrs. Fairfax. No, I have no family. She is Mr. Rochester's ward. But I will not keep you sitting up late tonight. Come, I will show you your bedroom. Jane takes rest and sleeps well at night. She wakes up early in the morning and goes out for a walk. Mrs. Fairfax. What? Out already? You are an early riser. How do you like Thornfield? Jane. I like it very much. Mrs. Fairfax. Yes, it's a pretty place. Miss Adela comes running up the lawn, followed by her attendant, Miss Warrens. Mrs. Fairfax. Here she comes. Good morning, Mrs. Warrens. Miss Warrens. Good morning, Mrs. Fairfax. Mrs. Fairfax to Adela. Come and speak to the lady who is going to teach you in future. Miss Adela. Good morning, Miss Jane. Jane. Good morning, come here. Adela crosses to her. You are beautiful. Tomorrow we will begin our lessons and learning. Miss Adela. Our learning? Jane. Yes. We will take walks through the fields that surround Thornfield and we will learn about nature, animals, and the flowers. We will study all we can that isn't in books, and all we can that is, and we will paint. Miss Adela. Paint? Miss Jane? Jane. Yes, paint. I believe that art is the window of the soul. Do you like to draw, Miss Adela? Miss Adela. Yes, Miss Jane. I do it all the time. I can sing and dance also. Shall I? Miss Fairfax. Adela, you have many weeks and many months to entertain. Miss Jane, now you go to your room. Jane, yes, I will look forward to the entertainment eagerly. Miss Warrens and Adela leave. Jane starts teaching Adela and leads a new life in Thornfield. Written by Charlotte Bronte. Thank you, children. Don't miss to watch the explanation videos, book back exercise videos.